And we're watching, subscribe to my channel, like to this video, let's start.
A 5-year-old Naruto Uzumaki was running down an alleyway as fast as his legs would carry him. Behind him was a mob of civilians with assorted weapons such as knives, pitchforks, swords, and other sharp pointy objects. He ran until someone threw a brick that hit his legs, knocking him down to the unforgiving floor. He grit his teeth and silent, knowing that crying out would egg them on. The mob closed in on him, shouting out at him, "Demon! Monster! Murderer!" As they yelled at him, they started slicing and stabbing at him, including bashing him with blunt objects. Then they all backed off as a man with pink hair walked up to him, dull and rusted butter knife in a cruel smirk. "Don't worry, demon, we're not going to kill you. No, but we are going to brand you as a reminder of what you are." He stepped closer and carved kanji for Kitsune on the right side of his chest. Then kanji for 9 on his left bicep, and finally kanji for demon below his left eye. The rusty butter knife working so it would scar permanently. The pain was unbearable to Naruto, but he grit his teeth and bore it. Then the man drove the knife into his side until the handle was halfway in. Everyone else took that as the signal to continue beating Naruto. Finally, after another 10 minutes, he cried out in pain and didn't stop until someone grabbed his jaw and held it open while someone else used tongs to grab his tongue. Then they brought a red-hot knife and cut his tongue out, then used the knife to gouge his left eye. "Come on, someone will eventually come along and arrest us if we don't leave." Hearing this, everyone got up and ran off to clean up and act as if nothing happened. Naruto was in so much pain he didn't even notice them leave. Then he passed out fro pain overload. Then out of the shadows an Anbu stepped out and callously threw the boy over his shoulder and disappeared in a swirl of leaves. Konoha Hospital. The doctors of Konoha's hospital were working overtime trying to save Naruto. Not because they care for the boy, but they understand that petty feelings have no place in hospital. They take their job seriously and work to the best of their abilities, and having the Hokage watching over their shoulder doesn't hurt either. After about 6 hours work, the boy had finally stabilized and they finished up healing him to the best of their abilities, and was currently resting in a hospital room. In total, he no longer had a to talk with, missing a left eye, had kanji on his right chest, left bicep, and under his left eye, with multiple scars all over his torso. He woke up 3 days after the attack with the Hokage by his side, reading his little orange book with a blush on his face, giggling a bit, looking up at Naruto, his eyes wide shock, and gave a small sad smile. "Naruto, I'm going to have you write down what you want to say for me, okay?" Getting a nod, he gave Naruto a small notepad and a pencil for him to write. "How long?" 3 days, Naruto. "Why me?" "I can't tell you yet, you're not ready for the information, Naruto. If you wish to continue going to the academy, I'll tell you when you graduate." Giving a pout and a small glare, Naruto thought for a moment, then when he began to write again. "I heard about a religion that makes someone be able to enjoy pain. Do you think I could learn to ignore it?" Sarutobi sighed, feeling his age right about then. Knowing of the religion he was talking of, he was going to deny Naruto. Then he paused, and thought of how often he got at. He knew that it would make the villagers stop, thinking they would be giving him pleasure, not pain. Then he thought of the pros that were involved for a shinobi standpoint. The cons. He realized that the pros outweighed the cons. The only problem is that he didn't know how to start it all. Then he remembered the Jashinist that he threw in Anbu prisons and started to think of a deal he could make with the bloodthirsty man. "Forgive me, Minato, Kushina, I don't have many options, and this is lesser of the other evils." "Okay, Naruto, I know of the religion you speak of. It's called Jashinism. What happens is you give sacrifices of your opponent's life to a demonic lord called Jashin, who in Ritu gives you invincibility. Remember, it's not immortality, you can still die, but it needs to vaporize you or you stop praying and sacrificing to Jashin for over a year. We have one man in our prisons who was placed there a month ago. I think I can work out deal with this man for you, Naruto, but remember who you are and your morals. Remember, you can't go around killing people with this religion, but feel free to kill anyone that tries to attack you like this again. Thanks, Gigi, I owe you maybe some ramen." Naruto thought for a moment, then his eye widened and tears fell out of his eye like a waterfall, then wrote on the paper, "I won't be able to taste my ramen anymore." Next day, Anbu prison. In a dimly lit cell sat a man with straight black hair with green streaks wearing sweatpants and a blue long-sleeve shirt with the sleeves torn off at the elbows. He had yellow and a necklace with the symbol of Jashin around his neck. He was silently thinking of the deal he made with the Hokage. Flashback 2 hours ago. Now I'm here to make a deal with you, so please hear me out before you decide. The man stayed silent, staring the old man in the eyes and waved his hand in a go-on fashion. Well, you see, in this village is a small boy of 5, and he is regularly beaten and tortured and is currently in the hospital missing a tongue and eye and kanji carved into him. Counting the many stab and slice scars. He asked me about a religion that gave him pleasure instead of pain. You want me to convert him to Jashinism and pray to Jashin-sama? Not just that, I want you to train him in every art of the religion from the basics to the advanced forms, and I'm willing to give you a job that fits with your religion. Oh really now? And just what is this job? Hiruzen stood and stared down at him. Then gave the man a grin that made the man feel shivers go down his spine. I'm willing to place you in the position as a torturer, interrogator, and as an executioner. Now I'll give you time to think it over. Just call for one of the guards when you have. Answer. End flashback. Hey guard, get you fucking ass over here, dipshit. I've got an answer for the Hokage. I accept. 7 years later. Day before graduation. Sarutobi Hiruzen was sitting behind his desk doing paperwork, idly noticing the stack of paper seemed to get bigger instead of smaller. He looked out to the main gate to Th. Village and wondering if Naruto was coming home today after 7 years of training. He sighed, remembering the huge fuss the council made when they learned Naruto W. be going on a training trip with the foul-mouthed Jashinist. Now that he thought about it, he realized he never got the man's name and slammed his head against the desk. He heard a commotion coming from outside his office, then with a large crash his secretary came flying through the door and out the open window. Then 2 figures walked through the doorway and the tall one spoke. Hey old fucker, how the shitty village holding up? They both stepped out of the shadows and the Hokage's eyes widened as he recognized the Jashinist in Naruto. The man was wearing a crimson t-shirt and black cargo. And his Jashin emblem around his neck. Naruto was around 5 feet 4 inches, still had his short blonde spiky hair, his one bright blue eye, and the other is covered by an eye patch with straps reaching around his head. His whisker marks were now a blood red color and a large smirk on his face. He wore a black haori with the sleeves torn off, a white dime. His back with a white kanji for 9 on it. Think inverted captain's haori. The chest area was open so you could see his scar and the area over his heart. The cloak was at the waist and fastened with an orange sash. Hanging off the sash was simple katana with a red-orange hilt with a Jashin symbol on the butt end. He was wearing black pants with a kunai and shuriken holster on both legs. And to finish it off were black steel-toed boots. So how did it go? I assume the katana is more than for show. Oh fuck yeah, the mute fucker is good. So good, in fact one of Jashin-sama's greatest followers bowed down to him. Hell, Jashin-sama blessed the fucker with a new dojutsu. The Chinogashiki o Mi, or the blood ritual eye. He also learned some freaky ass shit from. Before he could go any farther with his explanation, he got slapped upside the head by Naruto. He did a couple hand signs and put a hand on both Hiruzen and the Jashinis. Is now identified as Yari. They all collapsed in their seats and everything went dark. They arrived on the deck of a ship sailing in a sea of blood when a figure appeared out. What was apparently the captain's cabin. He was wearing what appeared to be a kimono made of blood, and the rest of the figure was all bone. The only exception were Th. They had a black sclera were dark red with a bright red Jashin symbol, and inside that was the black pupil with a silver Jashin emblem inside. Ah, Naruto-kun, Yari-san, how are you? And this must be Hiruzen. Good afternoon, Jashin-sama. I assume you are pleased with the sacrifices earlier today. Wait, you're Jashin, the demonic lord of brutality? Yes, I am, and yes, Yari-san, they were very satisfactory. Now, Hiruzen-san, I am going to tell you of Naruto-kun's skills. Now remember, they are not to be recorded onto PA. Your council will no doubt get hold of them and demand you make more soldiers like him. While I appreciate followers, I don't need any more. Now in overall skill he is mid-C level in your shinobi rankings. His, as you would say, kenjutsu level is elite Junin level, and his taijutsu is mid-chunin level as well. He only knows jutsu related to me and C. Control 2 tails of Kyuubi Baka's chakra. In my arts he is a master, even better than my other disciple Hidan. Hidan is in the S-class criminal that destroyed the hot spring village. The same. Thank you Jashin-sama, we will depart and leave you to your meditations. Once again the three collapsed only to find themselves back in the Hokage's office. Yari stood up and cracked his neck, grumbling under his breath about breaking his neck. Hiruzen sweat dropped and cleared his throat, getting their attention once more. Now Naruto, with what Jashin told me your Chunin level, would you like to go straight to Chunin or would you like to graduate with those your age? Naruto made a few Anbu hand signs, say he wanted to graduate. Hiruzen only chuckled and told him to report to room 402 at 10 a.m. the next day. Then he gave them an A. And 2 keys to 2 apartments for the two to live in before they left. Next day, Naruto was outside room 402 as instructed and was waiting for the sensei to call him in. As he waited he could hear some of the most annoying screeching he had ever heard. Entire life. He then heard a loud shout and everything went quiet. Then he heard his cue to enter the classroom. As he entered he noticed they were all looking at him with questioning looks. After a few minutes of standing there he started to feel awkward. Then someone spoke up. Well, say something already. What's your name, age, likes, dislikes, and stuff like that. Naruto rolled his eyes and opened his mouth to show them his tongue and gave them the finger. Then walked up to the blackboard, then wrote his name and next to it row. Mute follower of Jashin-sama. Then Sasuke spoke up, trying to make him seem stupid and weak. A mute and religious freak can't be a very good shinobi. I bet you're some weakling and that's why you got all those scars, lost an eye and tongue. Some of the fangirls cheered on their Sasuke-kun, but stopped when they noticed the maniacal grin on Naruto's face. He shimmered out of sight, then appeared in front of Sasuke crouching on the desk. Then he reappeared at the front of the classroom with the fingernail on his left index covered in blood. Sasuke saw the blood and felt around an injury, then he felt the sting on his cheek. Naruto licked the blood of his nail and his skin changed color to show the outline of his bone structure, one of the rib lines turn. He then flicked Sasuke off, knowing that soon a fangirl or two will come down to beat him up for attacking Sasuke. Like clockwork, Sakura and Ino came charging down, started wailing on Naruto, but not once did he move or grunt, just simply everyone heard a groan come from Sasuke and saw that he was covered in bruises and had a blow nose. The color on Naruto faded away to reveal the bruises and bloody nose on him as well, with everything in the exact same spot as Sasuke. To everyone's surprise, Naru on both knees and put his hands together as if in a prayer. He moved his lips as if to speak, but nothing came out, just steady breathing. They heard a small gasp come from far corner of the room and everyone looked back to see Hyuga Hinata stare down at Naruto with fear present in her eyes. Kiba decided to figure out what the problem was. Well, you're a Hyuga, you must know what he's saying. He is praying T to S someone named J Jashin for F forgiveness. Forgiveness for what? For N not S sacrificing S Sasuke san T to H him. Sacrifice is in kill. Iruka decided now was the time to explain Jashinism to the class. Class, Naruto is a follower of the religion of Jashinism. Now Jashin is the demonic lord brutality and murder. There is a rather infamous S-rank criminal that is a follower O. By the name of Hidan. He completely destroyed his home village for changing from a shinobi village to a hot spring resort. Jashinism is a selective religion, for they say to will not always accept someone, and currently there is only a few Jashinists today. I heard that we have a Jashinist working in torture and interrogation now. Everyone was looking at Naruto nervously now as he just finished praying and was walking to an empty desk closest to the door. He sat down, then looked at everyone and grinned dangerously. Everyone gulped and face front quietly. Now let's get on with the exam. 3 hours later, Naruto was walking home with a Konoha headband tied to his right bicep. He was walking in a leisurely pace back to his new apartment to eat and go to sleep, but stopped. 3 civilians stepped out in front of him, each one brandishing kunai knives in what they thought was a threatening manner. Naruto simply smirked and waited for their speech and eventual attack. Well, look at what we got here, a little demon out for a little stroll, and here I was thinking you finally died. We'll have to fix that now, don't we? Then they charged only to find Naruto gone, but then they heard a footstep behind them. They all turned to see Naruto with his katana out wet with blood. The 3 felt burning sensation on their arms and legs only to see a large cut on said limbs. Looking up they saw Naruto sliding his finger along the flat of the blade collecting their blue. The digit. They all watched in morbid fascination as he put the finger in his mouth and consumed the blood. Once again his skin changed colors to show the outline of his ske. 3 of the 8 rib outlines were red. Ignoring the change, the 3 men charged Naruto and plunged their knives into him. Only to scream out in pain as stab wounds appeared on themselves while Naruto was enjoying the rush of pain-induced ecstasy. He grabbed a small pole out of his haori and swung it out, extending into a spear, a gift from Hidan when he helped him convert Jashin-sama. Naruto smiled at the memory of how the pain slowly felt amazing during the first ritual. He brought the tip to his heart and drove it in, piercing right through. Then laid down and finished his ritual with the prayer for Jashin-sama to accept the sacrifices, and grimace at how long it's going to take. He remembered how Yari-sensei complained about the ritual ended with a prayer that was long as shit. He didn't know how long he was there, he only knew that the sun was setting when he started and now it was rising. The Hokage and Yari were both sitting off to the side talking about the weather. Some civilians and shinobi were staring, some were talking about how the men sacrificed their lives to defeat the demon. Then to everyone's, he reached up and pulled the spear out of his chest and retracted it, placing it back in his haori. Getting up he walked up to the old man and Yari and sat down, accepting cup of tea from Yari. Hiruzen broke the silence after a moment. Now Naruto, I would like for you to write up a report for me before noon. I assume they moved to attack first. Receiving a nod from Naruto, Hiruzen sighed and stood from his seat. Now I must go and return to my office and hopefully finish my paperwork. Anbu will clean this up so you are free to go home. Hopefully people will get the idea to not at Naruto here. 1 week later. Team placements at Academy. Naruto sighed as he waited for Iruka to give out team placements so he could get this over with. Everyone was looking at him in fear, every move he made people would FL. Finally Iruka walked in and gave his little speech about how proud he was and stuff like that until he finally finished. Now the team placements are Team 1, Team 7 are Inuzuka Kiba, Uchiha Sasuke, and Haruno Sakura. Your sensei is Hitaki Kakashi. Team 8 is Uzumaki, Naruto, Aburame Shino, and Hyuga Hinata. Your sensei is Yuhi Kurenai. Team 9 is still in rotation. Team 10 will be Yamanaka Ino, Nara Shikamaru, and Akamaiki Choji. Your sei will be Sarutobi Asuma. Now show us all what amazing shinobi you can become. Iruka then left and some Junin came in, collecting their own teams and taking them to various training fields. Then a woman wearing what appeared to be bandages with raven-colored hair and ruby-colored eyes walked in. I'm Yuhi Kurenai, will Team 8 come with me to training field 8? With her piece said, she walked out with Naruto, Shino, and Hinata walked out after her. After a silent walk through the village they arrived at a training field with a lake Y river leading out. There were a few training posts in various sections with different landscapes inside. Now why don't we introduce ourselves? I'll go first. As I said, my name is Yuhi Kurenai and I like genjutsu, my friends, and tea. I dislike perverts, sexist people, and Acerta. Orange book. My hobbies are learning new genjutsus and drinking tea. My dreams for the future is to settle down and have a family. Now why don't you go next, Hinata? My name is Hyuga Hinata and I like cinnamon buns, F flower pressing, and my sister. I don't like the C cage bird, S seal, P perverts, and B bullies. My hobby. F flower pressing, baking, C cinnamon buns, and G gardening. My dreams F for the future A are to make my father proud and R remove the C cage bird, S seal. Good. Shino, would you continue? My name is Aburame Shino and I like bugs, my clan, and training in my clan's techniques. I dislike being ignored, bug repellents, and bug killing chemicals. My hobbies are collecting and studying bugs and training with my Kikaichu beetles. My dreams for the future are to have a family and be a good clan head. Good. And finally Naruto, I know you're mute so I brought this blackboard for you to use, so start writing. My name is Uzumaki Naruto and my likes are Jashin-sama, pain, and blood. I dislike people who hate what they don't understand, people without faith, and the long ass P. After sacrificing fools who think they can kill me. My hobbies are praying to Jashin-sama, practicing kenjutsu, and sharing pain. My dreams for the future are to find Senju Tsunade and get her to replace my tongue and find someone who will love me for me. Kurenai looked down at what Naruto wrote and immediately thought of her best friend. She shook her head slightly and concentrated on the task at hand. She was going to test their abilities before she let them out in the shinobi world. She gazed over her squad going over their information in her head. Alright, meet me here tomorrow at 6 a.m. and we'll do the true genin test. But sensei, I believe that we already took the genin test in the academy. Yes Shino, but that was to weed out any lost causes. This is to catch any that aren't fully prepared for our line of work. Now your test will be tomorrow, so be ready for any. With those last words Kurenai left the training grounds, but when she was out of sight she returned and watched to see if they'll attempt to train and get to know each oath. She hoped Shino suggested that they go over their abilities' strengths and weaknesses. As they talked and demonstrated, with Naruto's demonstration being the most shock. When he stabbed himself through the gut. What no one noticed was the two Junin walking into the field with weapons drawn. Well, look at this. The demon has corrupted two clan heirs. I wonder how the Hyuga and Aburame clans will take the deaths of their heirs. Oh well, at least we'll demon in the end. Let's go. The Junin charged the genin while throwing their kunai and shuriken. Naruto, being the only one not shocked by this attack, pulled out his blade and blocked the projectiles. Grimaced, knowing he won't be able to beat these Junin without help, and he couldn't speak with his teammates to help coordinate attacks. He realized he'd need to use his card. What do we do Shishino-kun, Naruto-kun? The only answer to her question that Hinata got was Naruto biting his thumb until he drew blood. She felt him channel chakra into his thumb and he started to make gestu. The air with his thumb. To everyone's shock, the blood stayed in the air, forming kanji that read as massacre. Jashin-sama. As soon as it was written, Naruto brought his BL down and cut it in half, absorbing the blood as he went. The change was immediate, with Naruto's chakra output multiplying, creating a crushing aura over the area. His kata changed into a naginata. The staff part of it looked to be a bone-like substance, and the blade was that of an average-shaped spearhead, though the small jagged edges they would cause great pain. Naruto changed as well, with a high-collared open cloak that looked to have bone plating. The most surprising features were probably Naruto's was covered with the front of a human skull that went from the bridge of his nose to his chin, and the 6-inch hole going through his body where his heart was. His rib bones seemingly grew from his skin to give him only the slightest of armor. His left eye had also seemed to have come back, only it had a black sclera, dark red iris, bright red jas emblem inside, wrapping the pupil that had a silver upside-down Jashin emblem. Then he spoke with a deep baritone with a small scratching echo. We fight them off until help arrives, Hinata-san. Yes, these are Junin at best. We can hold them off until someone comes to our aid. Oh no, Shino-san. I meant until someone helps these stupid motherfucking ass wipes before I destroy them, until there is nothing left to sacrifice to Jashin-sama. Thog. Junin rank 1 of these fuckers doesn't have enough fucking chakra to keep up with a Chunin. But the first one looks stronger, so you two take the other one. Not that. Insulting you guys are some fucking sentimental bullshit. These one will be the best one to test myself against. Oh and try to catch him alive and see if they know any fuck-ups that have the fucking balls of steel to start shit with me. Then I can sacrifice these dumb shits to Jashin-sama. The way he said the last statement put everyone on edge. Then Kurenai stepped out of her cover with a look of fury on her face. You stupid fucks, how dare you try to attack my students? Hinata, Shino, I want you two to help Naruto fight the Kurenai-sensei. I thought I made it clear. I want the stronger one. Not to mention this will be a good field test for these two. That's what we are, isn't it? A field capture, interrogation squad. Why don't you go to the Hokage and get help in case we can't beat them? Naruto, you better keep those two alive. Hi sensei, now go get help. When Kurenai left, the two Junin finally recovered their bearings. Grinning, seeing Kurenai leaving, thinking her to be the strongest opponent. Then the air got filled with kill intent ki, making the men break out in cold sweat. Without saying another word, Naruto swung his naginata, the jagged spearhead flying out with a bony chain attached back. Naruto then fused both wind and fire chakra into the chain and tip for more damage, splitting both Junin apart. Shino and Hinata went towards the man Naruto claimed was Chunin level. Shino called forth his beetles and had them mass overhead as a distraction while Hinata charged. Since the man was distracted, she managed to land his calf, but that was it until he went for a palm strike to her chest. Hinata sidestepped it, thrusting at his chest with a Juken strike at his abdomen. He jumped back when swarm of beetles came at him from above and to his left, forcing him to the right before he got hit. He didn't notice the small swarm that were sitting on the ground until th surged up on his legs, draining his chakra. Then Hinata charged and took out some chakra points, paralyzing him for at least a week. Naruto's fight. When Shino and Hinata left to deal with the other man, he retracted the spearhead and charged his opponent. Swinging from the upper left to the lower right, he followed a kick towards the man's leg, hoping to knock him to the ground. The Junin dodged the first strike and blocked the kick, throwing a right hook. Naruto let the hit connect to just when he turned and caught it in his armpit. Taking his naginata, he cut the mont's arm with a deep gash before he broke free. Naruto grinned and licked his blade silent, enjoying the taste of his blood. He could feel the man's anxiety and anger in his blood. Once again Naruto's skin changed, only this time the markings became actual bone. With one rib colored red. You are now doomed as we feel the ultimate pain together. Other followers of Jashin-sama would have to draw the symbol of our faith in their own blood, but I was blessed. Jashin-sama with a new dojutsu called the Chinogashiki o Mi, or the blood ritual. All I have to do is taste your blood and keep you in sight, and even if you hide in a ge my eye will we through it. Even then I can still use the traditional use. Now let's feel pain together. With the last word he pulled out his retractable spear from his haori and extended it. Then plunged it into the hole in his chest, feeling orgasmic ecstasy while the man felt slow down as a small hole appeared through his heart. It slowly grew and he felt insanely large pain, then it hit him like one of Senju Tsunade's punches. An overwhelming feeling of depression that made him frantic. He pulled out a tanto and plunged it into his fully formed hole only to feel more pain and depression. I see you've noticed the special ability of my blade's release form. It's called a resurrection, which shows my ultimate form that Jashin-sama blessed me with. When I was converted, Jashin-sama saw my potential and infused 3/4 of my chakra with part of his soul and chakra. This created my blade, which is called a Zanpakuto or Su. And only few people are gifted with one. Each person who has one is called the Reaper of their god. Which means I am the Reaper of Jashin, and every blade is given the Na. The god that Reaper so mine is called Jashin. Jashin blessed me with many abilities, one of my favorites is called. With a slight booming sound and some static, Naruto disappeared, only for his voice to come from directly behind the Junin that was trembling in despair. Sero. An orange orb radiating with power formed at the tip of Naruto's Zanpakuto and shot out at the Junin, completely obliterating him into dust. Looking up, he saw his teammates staring at him in awe and slight fear. Then they all heard clapping when the Hokage stepped out of the treeline with Kurenai and some Anbu. Naruto waved and walked over to the paralyzed man who was in tears, thinking he was going to die. Now you can either tell me why you suddenly attacked me and my teammates and who sent you, or we can share the ultimate pain together. We were sent by the Civilian Sea Council to kill you and the heirs. They said you were making them turn against the village to get your revenge. Please, I just turned Chunin. Got engaged. Please, I'll do anything. You're pathetic. Begging for your life. I would have thought you had some backbone, considering that you were going to kill the heirs to two of the most influential clans. Village. Good luck, you dumb fucking shithead. Teammate. Congratulations, you are official Genin of Konoha for taking down traitors to the Leaf. Thanks, old man. Now when did the fucking civvies get the balls to call for the deaths of two fucking clan heirs, for fucking fuck's sake? Naruto, I had hoped you wouldn't pick up that habit of swearing that Yari-san has. Anyways, I heard your little speech about Reapers and I've got to say I've only seen one. Third War. Though their Zanpakuto only changed shape and aura, so I'm wondering if there are different forms of Reapers. Fuck yeah, there are, but you should hear the history of the Reapers first. Though we should talk in a more secure area, I don't want random fuckers to overhear trade sec. Now do I. Also, I'm going to reseal my blade so the bitch ass civvies don't spontaneously burst into flames. Naruto's naginata slowly morphed back into a katana. The bones disappeared and the hole shrunk and filled back in. His bone mask actually turned into his eye patch. Seemed to wiggle for a second. Hokage's office. Now Naruto, I want you to explain your abilities to me and your team now. I'm certain that everyone here can read lips. Hi Hokage-sama. Logically I found it useful to learn. Hi Hokage-sama. Naruto made a gesture to around the room, and Sarutobi wasn't surprised in the least. With a snap of his fingers 5 Anbu came from the shadows and disappeared in as leaves. Naruto narrowed his eyes and suddenly he shimmered in his position, his Zanpakuto making a small click as he took his hand off it. Suddenly 2 bodies wearing an uniforms and blank masks that say, "Nay," on their faces. Moving his lips they read the mute's words. I believe these eavesdroppers aren't yours. With a flare of chakra the Anbu team came back and collected the bodies, and after disappearing Naruto sat down with everyone following suit in front of him. Thank you Naruto, you seem to have discovered another breach in security. Now that we are once again alone we shall begin. Yes, now what I'm going to tell you is considered an S-ranked secret amongst the Reapers. I'm only given a few exceptions so please do not speak of this otherwise I'm give choice, but to completely destroy you and the one you told. Now first you must learn a little history so pay attention for it is a story of a war centuries old. The demonic lore. The angelic lords were once in a great and terrible war that surpassed the shinobi wars by many fold. In fact the loss of life was so great that Kami-sama herself had to ban from direct combat. The lords and ladies decided to decide their dominance by choosing champions. Now the one you fought must have been a reaper for an angeli. If he had a shikai. They are known as soul reapers of the angelic lords. I don't know all their secrets, just that they have their own techniques such as Kido, Hakuda, and Za. Otherwise known as ninjutsu, taijutsu, and kenjutsu, except the ninjutsu are slightly different as they take incantations, but sometimes they can't do without the incantatio. Their Zanpakuto have 2 releases though called Shikai and Bankai. Now since I'm the reaper of a demonic lord I am a hollow reaper. As you saw we are called hollow Beck. The absence of our hearts in our resurrection form. We only get the 1 release and we get techniques such as Sero or Hollow Flash, the technique I used earlier, Ball or Ho Bullet. It's basically a faster but weaker Sero. Then there is Sonido or Sound Ceremony, a high-speed technique, Hierro or Steel Skin, which is kind of self-explanatory. Then Pei or Probe Circuit, basically a sensory technique. Everyone in the room was silently taking this in. The genin had trouble picking their jaws off of the ground. Kurenai is wondering if she was needed to teach him, and the H was hoping that Danzo didn't catch word of this. Naruto, do you know where the other Reaper are or what they look like so I can warn my shinobi to avoid them? No, the one I knew died a while ago. Alright, thank you Naruto, and now Team 8 if you would please leave so I can do my paperwork. Next week. Team 8 walked in through the doors at the mission hall. Only one of the genin seemed pleased with the covered in scratches. Suddenly a fat woman walked in and swept up the target of many a genin's nightmares, a small brown cat with black streaks called Tora, and crushed to death in her arms. To their surprise Naruto walked the woman who was the fire daimyo's wife, and took the cat away and made a copy me gesture and held the cat nicely and pet him kindly, then gave it back. Taking Naruto example, and the cat purred in content. Smiling Naruto walked away as the daimyo's wife turned to Hiruzen and gave him a hug, then walked off. Well Naruto, you seem to have gained a favor from the daimyo of Fire Country. Just remember to use it wisely as it isn't something to waste on a simple luxury. Now let's what D ranks we have today. Before he could move the D ranks were snatched up by a swarm of beetles and dropped where the old man couldn't reach them. Hokage-sama, I would like to request a C rank mission for I believe we are ready. Do the rest of you agree with Shino? Hi. A nod from Naruto, and the old man sighed and reached for AC rank and pulled it out. As he was about to read it off, a Chunin rushed in and whispered something into his ear. Then he briskly left with a quick bow and a word of salutations. Sarutobi put the mission back in the pile and cleared his throat. Team 8, I have just received word from Team 7 on an escort mission to Wave. They have just encountered Momochi Zabuza, an A-rank nuke nin and one of the Sev Swordsmen of the Mist. Kakashi is currently out of it with chakra exhaustion and Momochi expected in a week. I suggest you hurry and reach their position in Wave Country. Unfortunately Kurenai, you are needed elsewhere, so I have a replacement for you. Enter Mitarashi Anko. A woman entered wearing a tan trench coat and a mesh bodysuit with a short burnt orange miniskirt. A small snake fang pendant on a cord around her neck. She had done up like a pineapple and hazel eyes without pupils. Her outfit was doing nothing to hide her womanly curves and was putting some of the male chunin in the room on. Then Hiruzen cleared his throat to catch the team's attention. Well, now that you have your team, I want you to head out immediately. Kurenai, stay behind, would you? Alright brats, meet me at the East Gate in 1 hour. Hi, East Gate. Alrighty then, let's go save the 3 brats and pervert, we're off to wave. Anko sensei, I believe the logical way to wave is the other direction. Good job bug boy, you caught my test. Now let's go to wave. The next day, Tezuna's home. In Tezuna's home everything is calm. Kakashi was reading the magical literature of Ika Ika, Sakura was staring at the brooding emo prince, and Kiba was napping with Akamaru. Suddenly the door crashed in and Zabuza came in screaming bloody murder at Team 7 and the bridge builder's family. Team 7 was up in a defensive pose. Well, Sasuke and Kiba were. Sakura fainted and Kakashi couldn't move. Ha ha ha, oh my Kami, you guys are gullible. Zabuza suddenly poofed and in his place was Anko and Team 8 following in behind her. Naruto was trying not to laugh at Team 7, then he looked over them, then no. The pink hair on the girl. His eyes widened and the room was filled with an immense pressure and ki. He then pulled his Zanpakuto and gave a roar, then he attacked her, blocked by Anko with a kunai. She was about to yell at him until she noticed that he had nothing but uncontrollable rage and pain in his eyes. She quickly gave a chop to H. and knocked him out cold and caught him. What was that about? I've never seen such rage in someone's eyes before. That brats were the eyes of someone going in an insane rage, going for revenge. Everyone that wants revenge eventually loses all sense of who they were before then. Want revenge, but I can live without it. It seems that either she or someone who had a trait of hers wronged him. Pink hair. What she know? Naruto-san mouths those words every once in a while, so it's logical that someone or something with pink hair did something to him. Probably took his eye and tongue or him his scars. Everyone but Sasuke looked down on Naruto with saddened looks until Sakura stirred, then sat up with a panicked look. She relaxed when she saw everyone was calm, though some had sad looks. She froze when she felt an intense ki and a kunai to her neck, the cold steel just touching her skin. Listen here girlie, that boy on the ground almost killed you in a fit of rage. With one look into his eyes he only had revenge on his mind. Now our guess is that you're pink him off, so I would be careful since I won't be there to save you. Your precious Sasuke was useless and always be so against Naruto, and he won't save you anyways. Reem. You had anything to do with his pain. I will kill you. Sakura simply nodded, and just like that the ki disappeared and the kunai left her neck. Sakura rubbed her neck and walked off upstairs to think on how she could have died there. As she walked off, Naruto stirred in his own sleep and slowly got up and looked around. He then walked out the door to think and blow off steam. After finding a clear, bit his thumb and rode into the air. Massacre. Jashin. He sliced downward through it, absorbing the blood into his Zanpakuto. Once more he shifted into his Resurrection, and formed a ball of energy on his fists and threw a few punches, launching a few balls of energy in quick blasts followed by explosions. He then used Sonido and Channel Altered Demonic Chakra to stand in the air and launched a Sero at a boulder below him, completely vaporizing the boulder and around 50 yards down. He continued this RO for a few hours before he finally fell and passed out, automatically deactivating his Resurrection form. Later that night, Anko was walking in the woods looking for Naruto by following the path of destruction. She whistled when she came across the hole in the ground. Even she didn't know that could do that. Continuing on, she came across Naruto passed out by a tree. She sat down next to him, wanting to talk alone with him. After a few minutes he slowly came around, and Anko loomed over his head waiting for him to wake up. He suddenly lifted his head and slammed his face into Anko's cleavage, only end up back on the ground. Bump on his head. So brat, you think that since we're alone you can just take advantage of little old me? I knew you were a masochist, but really, do you have a death wish? Naruto lifted his hand and made a few hand signs. You're the one that put your tits over my face when I'm trying to wake up, dumbass. Oh, and here I was thinking you were suicidal. Alright, let me jump to the chase. Earlier today you almost killed a fellow leaf shinobi, so you either tell me why or I'll take you for treason. Naruto sat with his head down, and after a while Anko saw tears and blood falling to the ground. She realized he was crying tears of blood out of his missing eye as he contemplated telling her. He sighed and whipped his eyes and liked the blood off his arm. Before he finished, Anko snapped her arm out and scooped it up on her finger and on it. Nice tasting blood. In fact, it's a bit bitter, then it leaves a sweet aftertaste. Your blood is probably the best I've tasted. Maybe I'll come back for more. Naruto gave a small grin, then raised his hand and signed a question to ask if she can read lips. Anko gave a small grin and a nod, prompting Naruto to put his hand down. When I was 5, I got chased down and beaten in an alleyway. It was that alleyway that changed my life, because it gave me my wounds that I display now. The leader of mob had pink hair and was the one to carve the kanji with a rusted and dull butter knife. After that, in the hospital, I asked the Hokage about Jashin-sama and he found me sensei to convert and train me. Ever since then I've displayed my injuries to show that I will always rise from anything stronger than before. It's also a good look and helps. Don't tear my clothes using my jutsu. Wait, Yari-sensei is in. Yari, the new interrogator and executioner at T&I. He's like one of our best guys there. Yeah, he's more of an uncle to me than anything. In fact, he's technically my personal bodyguard appointed by Jashin-sama. Wow, Naruto-kun, you seem to have finally gotten a good life in Konoha. Anko widened her eyes, wondering where the whole kun thing came from. It's still pretty lonely though. I usually tell people that my dreams are to find a certain person to restore my tongue and become Hokage. For the most part it's true, but IW. Give those up if I could find someone to love and for them to love me back. Anko's eyes widened further, since she would do the same, and started to think of the recent events. They headed back to Tezuna's home in silence, thinking over the days.